Hi, everybody, and welcome today to today's webcast entitled Accelerating Innovation in Power and Water Utilities, introducing the Tibco Responsive Digital Operations Room. My name is Michael Silber. I'm the event director for Enlit Australia, and this is the conference and exhibition for the energy transition, focused on the entire supply chain from end to end. And we're really pleased to present this live virtual event, and we certainly want to thank and acknowledge our sponsor for today's event, Tibco Software. Before we begin the discussion, there's a few housekeeping items which I'm obligated to cover off. First, today's webinar will be available on demand after the live session. That'll be on our website, enlit-australia.com. And we've also added some attachments which are available through the handouts tab on the right-hand side of your screen. We'd love to hear from you during today's presentation. So if you have a question for any of our speaker, please feel free to send it through the Ask Staff a Question box on the right-hand side of your screen. We'll be answering questions at the close of, before the end of today's session. If we don't get to your question during today's webcast, we'll be sure to follow up afterwards. We'll also be asking you several poll questions during today's webcast, and they'll pop up on your screen. And once the results are available, they'll be posted on the screen. And certainly, we encourage you after today's webinar to share it on your social networks. And you can learn more about our speaker by clicking on the bio section on the right-hand side of your screen. And of course, our guest today and our speaker is Mr. Tym Lawrence, who's the Director for Pre Sales for ANZ for Tibco Software Australia. Welcome, Tym.
Thanks, Michael. Great to be here.
Yeah, we're really happy to have you. I think before we begin, what we're going to do is we're going to review a certain, we have a number of, what I want to do is I want to talk about some of the trends that we're seeing, and Tym and I will talk about it briefly. Then Tym's going to carry on and talk about some of the solutions he sees for the challenges that we're going to be discussing involving the trends that we're going to discuss in a minute. But before we get to the trends, here's our first poll question. Go ahead, answer it. It'll be up there for about 30 seconds. And from there, we'll begin the discussion. So, you know, we'll put a slide up once this poll question goes down. We'll put up a slide that shows some of the trends that we're looking at and that we consider critical for today's industry. And one of the things that I find, Tym, and I'd like your comment on this, is that there's a real emphasis on a smart, connected customer experience, and it seems to be in utilities a real issue that has to be met, and that they haven't met as well as they could have over the past. In fact, they seem to have lost the trust of their customers because of their consumer engagement. What are your thoughts on that one?
Well, potentially a lack of consumer engagement. And look, to be fair, it's not just utilities. I mean, you know, who's happy with their bank right now? And, you know, it's often a side effect of being the only game in town. But it's definitely something we're seeing across multiple industries, utilities particularly, where the need to really give a consistent omni-channel customer journey is really important, right? So it doesn't matter which way you approach your provider of internet or gas or electricity or water, they're giving you a great experience across all their different channels. That is something that is definitely a driver for a lot of utilities. And I'd be interested to see what the attendees think of this poll, because I think, to be fair, there's not a utility out there or even business that's not seeing at least a couple of these 5 items.
All right. So let's go back. Let's get to our slide that talks more about the trends. If we could just get to that one. Well, here are the results. Let's look at the results right now. What do you think of this?
That's interesting, isn't it? No, because for me, the very last one, becoming a data-driven business, in many ways is a consolidation of everything else, right? You cannot deliver a great omnichannel experience. You can't use your data from IoT devices. You can't leverage AI and ML until you've got your data in order, until you've got everything in one place, well accessed, well governed, well mastered. and used across the organization. So we hear this all the time where, just we were talking with an insurance company yesterday. If you're not data-driven as insurer, you're going to be left behind. You've got to have your data in a single spot. You've got to be able to use it then for intelligent outcomes. So I think that 58% choosing that last one, that doesn't surprise me at all. It's actually really good to see.
So let's get on to that next slide then, that talks more about the trends, if we don't mind. I think the results have been up there long enough. So I mentioned trust earlier, and you've kind of addressed it, but what I see in utilities, and you're right, all businesses, there's a big effort to, particularly in utilities, they have to rebuild that trust with affordable service delivery. Do you have anything, do you want to elaborate on that at all, Tim?
I think we've already covered that to a degree. Again, it's, I think we pretty much covered everything in that. But it's all about becoming a smarter business, and to do that, you've got to have a better relationship with your customers.
Yeah, so we here at Enlit Australia, we spend our life in this. But one of the things that we're seeing a lot of now is industrial IoT. All the buzzwords, big data, analytics. The role of sensors in collecting that data and being able to be more responsive on a number of levels. What are you seeing? Anything out there along those lines?
Oh, absolutely. Look, if there's any industry that has been changed most by IoT, it's utilities. Honestly, maybe airports and transport, maybe, but just the sheer number of sensors and the amount of smart devices that have been rolled out in a few years. If anything, it's causing, and maybe it's a poor pun to use, but utilities to drown in data. And we see this all the time at Tibco. We have customers with data warehouses, not just one, but multiple. They have data lakes, they have data lighthouses. They have a data swamp, right? And it's just more and more, and it's not static data. It is real time coming in Mosquito or all the different formats, and just leveraging that data. It's, you're trying to drink the ocean. You're drowning.
Yeah, that's a good phrase, by the way, data swamp. So moving on from that, people are using this data. I see increasingly. The buzzword is transformation, right? All this data is driving innovation and change management. Are they doing that effectively?
Look, I saw some interesting research where 76% of digital transformations fail to deliver the outcomes they want. And there's a number of reasons, right? Often it's a lack of strategy. It's a concern about cost. It's not having a good roadmap. It's just all those concerns. And digital transformation is not just, digitizing your operation or migrating to cloud. It really is taking a look at the entire business processes, specifically from a customer experience, right? And delivering that great experience. And so I think that, if you're going to digitally transform, it's not just a matter of putting in new systems and moving it to the cloud. You do have to take that holistic view, starting with the customer experience. But then, once you're along that journey, there are things that utilities are able to do with digital transformation that really lead their business. That's where you can start to use AI for asset optimization, which is the third one, or plant efficiency, right? Delivering that data to become that data-driven organization to any group of the business who need it, whether it's executives or operations. And one of the things we're seeing a lot in utilities, and also very strongly in mining, in oil and gas, like upstream gas production, we have, most of the world's largest gas producers, oil and gas producers, use Tibco because we do some really intelligent analytics and data science at the wellhead, right? So these are everything from drill bit failure to, predicting, and again, I don't know the exact terms because I'm not in oil or gas, but, predicting when there's going to be an issue with drilling platforms. And so that's where you can start doing predictive maintenance and know when something's likely to fail, and that way you can optimize your maintenance schedule too. And I think that's why they're interconnected.
Yeah, really good point. Under our next heading here, we here at Enlit see a lot of people trying to develop optimal maintenance strategies. Kind of boring sometimes, doesn't get the attention it deserves. But you just said it, predictive over preventive, and we do see a lot of that. And I see a lot. One thing that jumps into my mind, we see a lot of drones out there on the network, kind of in that kind of preventive, gathering data in a kind of preventive mode. What's your thought on that?
Yeah, absolutely. We've got examples. Schlumberger is a large Tibco customer, and they deliver software to a lot of industries. They're saving billions of dollars. I mean, we're talking about billions of dollars in maintenance costs. One example I'll talk about is Vestas, which are, the world's largest provider of wind turbines. Using predictive maintenance, they're saving, again, it's confidential, but a lot of money, well worth the investment.
So realizing the data-driven business, how do they get there?
Look, I think that's what we're going to get through the whole thing, because it's not a one-size-fits-all. The types of solutions we're going to go through are modular, so people could take the different parts as they need it. But, it often comes into three main ways. And maybe I might, if I can take over, I'm going to jump into my part of the presentation, because I think this might help answer.
Yeah, cool.
First of all, just a standard disclaimer, right? I'm going to start with an example and then step back and talk about how we did it. And this is all about becoming a data-driven organization. We've called this the responsive digital operations room, right? It's designed to give a single platform to enable real-time connectivity, monitoring, and intelligent, responsive decision-making, right? All on your data. Now, this happens to use a water utility as an example, but what we're talking about here would be as applicable to gas, electricity, internet. For example, the NBN, who, I'm not going to say anything bad about, because I'm sure if they do, they'll cut my connection, but they have done that before in past. And in fact, this is something we've all experienced, right? I mean, we've all been doing something and our lights go out, or the gas goes off, or we lose internet connection. And too often, and I'm not going to say this is everyone on the call, but too often what happens, and this is using an example of a water utility. These graphics were created by one of the sales teams. So you can tell it's not our marketing team who did this, but someone's digging and gets into a water main, and it's like, oops. And the road repair team has to call the head office to call the utility. And in this example, we're using a fictional water utility, which we call Clearwell, right? So they call someone at head office, and head office contacts Clearwell. In the meantime, this poor lady, Brenda, calls Clearwell, her utility company, and she has to go through all that wait time of, punching in, not only finding the number, but punching in all the different codes. And she kind of comes to this sort of, we're experiencing higher call volumes than normal. I mean, how many of us have heard that one? And really, it doesn't matter what channel she goes through, there's inconsistency there. When she finally gets through to a customer service center or customer excellence service center, often they're poorly informed, right? They're only finding out because there's suddenly a high volume, and they don't have the data to their fingertips. So they kind of go, well, we don't know what the problem is, but we'll get someone out ASAP. And then the truck rolls. Usually it's the first available. It may not have the skills or jobs to match. They may not be able to resolve it. So they may have to schedule a further analysis, right? So what's the problem? I don't know. Let's get there and then call for help. And the challenges that give rise to this, of course, the poor executives don't have the visibility of what's going on. So this kind of situation, which is not uncommon in any utility, and it's not everyone, obviously, people have got some systems in place, but often they're facing a rigid architecture. They're legacy systems that don't talk well, and the data centers are disparate. So it's that data-driven. If you can't bring it together, you can't get a good 360 view. In their way, your business processes aren't necessarily efficient, and you don't have the informed information. You don't have the full visibility into all the systems. Customer satisfaction drops, and your maintenance is reactive, right? Or scheduled versus predictive and proactive, and obviously poor cost control and potentially regulatory compliance. So the experience we want to give would be more that if the same accident happens, you've got those smart pressure sensors that detect that anomaly, right? And we've got great anomaly detection technologies. I mean, we even sell we give away a risk management accelerator for free, and you just need the software to run it. You can run that for credit card fraud or for anomaly detection. We're going to show this. So we detect the anomaly. And as a result, we can tell the service center something's already happening, right? The anomaly detection triggers a real-time action because we're using an event-driven architecture, using messaging technologies and event processing or complex event processing technologies. And it gives you that 360 master data view. So service operations goes, anomaly detection's picked up a problem with the main feed. I've got a digital twin, a model to see the impacts and the causes. And the analyst can look at the affected area. They can see things like people at risk. There might be hospitals there. They've got real-time imaging suggesting mechanical valve failure, and they dispatch the right type of team, either manually or, again, through data science, machine learning. The customer suddenly has a lot more of a positive impact because, they might reach out, but they can go through multiple channels more effectively because you've got that omni-channel experience. They might go to Twitter, say something. They might go to Facebook. They might post a photo, right? So we could pick up social media material and use that as part of the input. So we've already got field telemetry stuff in our smart meters or not so smart meters. We've got all the events and notifications through messaging. We've got social stuff. And as a result, we can tell the customer, hey, we know there's something going on in your area. You can either go to our website or, we'll notify you proactively through SMS or email. If you need to talk to someone, that's okay. But we're taking proactive action because we know what's going on. And the call center, well, they have more accurate info, right? So the customer excellence people can say, we know what's going on. We know that the right person's being dispatched. We can tell you that you look out your window, they're already on their way because we've got real-time IoT tracking of our vehicles. So all the service information comes through. And obviously that allows them to meet their legal requirements for water or electricity distribution. We could even get that customer 360 view because we can bring in, again, data-driven customer info along with all the other stuff, streaming and static, to say, we know you have a special requirement. So we're going to do something special for you. We'll send you a voucher to get water from a local supermarket. And then we integrate with all the other systems like ERP and asset management. So Tibco is a specialist integration. What we do, we can connect into all the other systems that need to be involved and notified. That's what this responsive ops room should do. And of course, it will give the executives the information they need as well. So in sort of summary, what you're going to see is designed to give a superior customer experience, give you better collaboration, and really optimize your operations. And I want to emphasize this is just an example that the team put together to say this is the art of the possible, right? It's not a black box package solution. It's a series of technologies that you can leverage in a way that makes sense to your business. But this is kind of one of our accelerators. We can give you the code and you can do with it as you choose, and obviously with help from our partners or from Tibco itself. So what does the solution actually look like? And I'm going to go straight from this into a demo. What we've got is a world where all of the various sensors are down the bottom there, so our water main, our various valves and other distribution points, will have everything from temperature sensors, pressure sensors, motor ampage sensors, all the other data that's going to be flowing in real time, usually using technologies such as MQTT for messaging. But we're also getting data from other places, right? We're getting data from the handheld devices that your truck operations team have. We're getting messages from people who are chatting in chatbots. We're getting messages from work order or asset management tools. We're getting messages from Twitter. And we're able to bring all that in together to give you real-time visibility into all aspects of the operation. And this can be delivered in a control center. So the tools you're going to see, specifically Spotfire, that's what BHP runs their business on, right? But you can do it from home as well, which is crazy in the pandemic. But it can also be deployed in any embedded application or in a mobile app, and that's at the top. So these kinds of technologies let you do all sorts of things such as condition monitoring, fault pattern or anomaly detection, work order scheduling, order creation, and the omni-channel customer experience. So I'm going to show it to you live, and I'm going to switch across to a virtual machine. And we actually showed this just recently to the Intelligent Water Network down in Victoria, which is why I started at this level. So this is Spotfire, a Tibco visualization product, the same one that BHP runs their business on. And, I could zoom in if I need to. So the geospatial capabilities of Spotfire are second to none. It's actually one of the main reasons that oil and gas companies use us, because this tool is so good it actually takes into account the curvature of the Earth, just as an example. And of course, I could drill in. So, I'm having to look at Goulburn Murray, see what's going on there. What I'm doing is just by clicking in one area of the map, it automatically highlights the related area. So Melbourne Water, I've got an issue here. They had 85 incidents just in the last year. That auto linking, they call it brush linking, is just something that's out of the box. And again, it's really powerful for visual analytics. Now, just before I do so, I want to pause my screen for 2 seconds. I just need to switch across and start the live data stream. So I've done that, and I'll resume my screen share. Okay, so what I can do then is drill in. In this case, I'm looking at Melbourne, but again, I've got multiple water networks in here, which is great if you're the Intelligent Water Network. Obviously, if you're Melbourne Water, this is just your dashboard. You wouldn't see anyone else's. But I can start to explore my data for incidents in the last, say, 12 months. And again, this brush linking lets me go, hang on, there was tell me about the 4 motor failures that happened in the last year. Or more importantly, show me why I was having trouble with incident resolution time. Or say, look, I see there's an issue here in the Shire of Macedon. What was happening there? And by selecting that, I can see both on the map that the 0.9 and 0.12, so service location, 9 and 12, really suffered mostly from burst pipes. And I can see the average incident resolution time, so 13 hours in February, and it really hasn't been improving particularly. Right? So again, I can start to use the visual analytics to drive exploration of historical data. Okay, historical data. Let's get into real time. This is where data is flowing real time from our sensors across all the various locations. And actually, I can see there's a problem here. Service location 0 is being marked as faulty. There's a big red thing here. And if I look at that, if I just click on it, I can see that at the moment, the pressure is off the charts, 7,000 kPI, and the motor ampage has dropped. Now, this is a very simple data science model. We've got some really powerful ones, and I'll show you them with case studies. But this simple model says that's a burst pipe, right? High pressure, low amps. Right, we got a burst pipe. So what it can do is start to take smart actions, again, through the data science and through things like the event processing. Because it's detected that, it's already gone ahead and raised a case. And it's assigned that case. Now, this, again, uses out-of-the-box technologies we've got, but it could talk to your asset management or workforce management system. But in this case, it's found the correct resource with the right skill set, who's available and in that region, and it happened to be Martha. So it's assigned it to her. And I can actually click on this to go into the case management tool. I'm going to do that, but first I want to just talk about, that was a great example of the detection of anomaly through sensors. What about from a customer? So I'm going to jump across to a web browser, and this is just a web page we created for Clearwell, but it's got a chatbot. Right? And I can say something like, hello, and the chatbot sort of says, yep, I'm your automatic help desk. And you can do things like open incident or ask the status one. So I'm going to say, look, I need to report a leak. Right? Or I can say pipe burst. I'm going to put in my email address just so it recognizes me as a customer. So my name's Danny. I live in City of Hume. What's my issue? Michael, what do you reckon? What should we put down as our issue? Give me a common problem for a water utility.
Streets flooded because the pipe broke.
Street flooded.
And I've sent you a put on your website a picture of the leak. I took a picture, a video and put it on the website.
I won't try and put that one in. I don't want to confuse the thing, but at least it's noted. What's the priority? This is high, right? Because I need my galoshes. And okay, I'm not going to continue on this one because I've run into a problem here. I've seen that happen before in this example. But what it would normally do is it would go ahead and open a ticket straight up for the person and show it in there. Now, once those tickets are created, they're automatically assigned, I can go and explore them. And to do that, I just need to make sure I'm logged in. So I'll just double check that I'm able to access the Tibco Cloud. So this is our online SaaS capability. We do things like integration, API management, messaging. In this example, we're just using some simple stuff, analytics, the event processing, and the low-code app, which is a low-code tool for case management. And we have got a more powerful BPM tool. Sydney Water uses it. But in this case, we're just going to use the simple one. It's called Live Apps. So if I go back and I click on that link to start to look at the case, it takes me to Live Apps and lets me review what's going on with this particular incident. And so I can see there's a work item, we could pick it up, and of course this could be done in the field. Or we could use your existing work management system and send it back in through our integration tools. In this case, Martha's been assigned to a burst pipe, and she can see the information she needs, and she can say, look, yeah, I've gone ahead and fixed it. So I've restored that.
A quick question on that one, Tim. Can I, if I might?
Yep.
How does the end use consumer, me in front of my house watching the flood, how do I have access to this? Have you already touched on that?
Yeah, no, good one. So at the moment, this would be an internal tool for, your work teams to run it. But the same tools, and let me just hit submit on this for a second so we can actually go back and have a look at what happened. That has been resolved, right? So it's now marked as a closed incident. And in fact, if I go back, I can see the pressure and the motor ampage is starting to normalize. So this same data, yes, this is an internal view, but the same data that we're sending to an internal view could also be published literally live on your website. Because Spotfire and its capabilities can be embedded in any web application, any mobile application, any website. So you could deliver a similar, probably not the same, but a similar experience to your end customer, so they can actually see what's going on, both at their local level, even their individual case. And of course, while we've been talking, there's a few other burst pipes that have occurred, so we could go ahead and resolve those. But notice they've assigned different people, and those people will, be ready to roll. Now, there's one other thing I wanted to talk about, and that is the fact that not only are we pulling data from the website, we're pulling data from all your smart meters and smart sensors and IoT sensors, but also we can start to grab information coming from various social media feeds. So here's an example where we're using a fairly standard sentiment analysis model to see what's going on. And if I was to have a look at an area, so we might go back to SL0 or this SL27, I can see what's happening here, and I can start to see, sentiment being, negative versus positive, right? So here's somewhere where, look, sorry about that. Obviously, they're not going to be a happy customer, right? Or another one here, look, reported it several times. So using our AI tools to mine Twitter or other posts with certain identifiers, certain hashtags, we can identify the sentiment in certain areas. And that would actually allow you to potentially increase the priority of certain incident tickets, saying because we know that there's challenges here, we can take action more quickly, or of course we can start to predict proactively and notify people in the neighborhood that there's an issue that you should be aware of. So this responsive digital ops room is really just a set of technologies, integration technologies, streaming analytics technologies, visualization, data science technologies, that is a quick start or an accelerator for your utilities, whether they're electrical or, internet or water. And so if I sort of recap where we were, what we've seen, the idea here is we can give you a starting point that allows you to access all your network KPIs over time, but also get your real-time data and take action on that. Look at things like sentiment analysis and even connect to case management tools, or you leverage ours if you need to. Now, what I wanted to finish off is just talk about a couple of places where some of our clients have used parts of the technology that you've seen here in different ways. So Sydney Water is an example where they're using not only all of our integration platform, but they use our business process management software. And they run all their business processes through that. Now, that's a more powerful version of the live apps that you saw. Live apps is designed to be very quick, very fast, low code. BPM is a lot more powerful. But they used it to really improve their customer satisfaction. So they had that single customer experience, everything feeds in, gives them single visibility into all of the customer activities. I think that was a good example. Another one, this is in Canada, is for Ontario Power Generation. This is a nuclear, power generation plant. And what they did is they used our master data management tools to be able to get consistent data sets and make those available to other business units. And that gave them a really solid, set of data that was accurate, and they could then use that to make all their decisions. One other company using data to make decisions is Vestas. I mentioned them before. It's a large provider of wind turbines, right? And again, Texas wind turbines, right? But leaving aside the fact that the photos that people shared about de-icing were from Sweden, Vestas actually does predictive de-icing through automatic de-icing within the wind turbines using our predictive analytics. So they're using Spotfire, the same tool you saw before, to not only make maintenance decisions, but they actually rolled it out across the entire business. So they use it for all their decisions on where to place turbines. They use it for selling turbines. They use it with a massive data set of wind patterns to optimize the placement and the yield. And it's a great example where data has been democratized, so you've become a data-driven organization using the kinds of tools you just saw there. One or two last examples. I thought Enlitel is quite interesting. Again, this is with oil and gas, but it's all about becoming data-driven. And what they're doing here is working out the efficient placement of wells. And by doing this, they could actually forecast the yield and the results of the well placement and really preventing multi-million dollars of mistakes. The last one is Essent. Right? These guys are using our integration platform, our messaging platform, to bring together all of their capabilities. And what they really found is by doing this, they could, again, deliver self-service technology, innovate more quickly, and give a shorter response time. So this is all that event-driven. So they're handling 60 million messages going through the system a day. So I'm just going to finish off with kind of how this all, what do we do? What do we give you guys to make this happen? Tibco has been around for, nearly 30 years. We started in financial services, and we began as an integration provider. We were the people who invented what became known as an enterprise service bus or middleware. Tibco basically invented that. And in the times since, we've really expanded into giving a complete, we call connected intelligence platform. So it's all about connecting your applications or your data sources, but then unifying your data so you get better access and better governed data. And you need that to become data-driven. And then predicting outcomes in real time. So connect, unify, predict. We work with 21 of the world's top 25 in the 2000 global. 10 out of 10 semiconductor manufacturers. They all use us for things like predictive analysis of failures and yield optimization in all the semiconductors. So pretty much any device you've got, it's likely to be running a chip made through Tibco's technologies. Pharmaceuticals, banks, utilities as well. And you can see on the left our capabilities. Connect is all about integrating, managing APIs, handling messaging and events. So we were talking about events in the responsive ops room where events will come through, and then process automation. So whether it's generating a case in live apps or BPM. In Unify, we manage metadata and master data plus reference data. So you have that single trusted view of data like Ontario Power. And one of the things that's really popular at the moment is the idea of data virtualization. So if you've got data silos or data swamps and you want a single trusted layer, doesn't matter if that data is in the cloud or on a on-premise SQL database or an Excel spreadsheet, and believe me, there are people still running that. Data virtualization gives you a single view without having to copy all the data. And then once you get that, once you connect your systems, once you have your data intelligently unified, then you can do things like visual analytics, data science, and the streaming. And we saw that again in the demo, and that's through Predict. So if I was just to go one level down, Connect is about that API management, integration, event processing, messaging, and automation. Predict's all about your visual analytics, embedding your data science behind it. So we have tools to help you create and deploy your data science models, but it's all about making them democratized, so the power behind the button. And that operation analytics are real time. And then Unify is bringing your data into a single trusted view. On top of that, the experience apps and the accelerators like we saw, and even being able to create your own mods. And below it, we'll work on premise, we'll work in hybrid or cloud, and we'll connect all the existing systems. We mentioned ERP, so SAP as an example, Salesforce CRM, your data lakes, your data warehouses, and all your streaming data. That's what we breathe. That's our bread and butter. So just to finish off, The Connect stuff is all about getting you a modern integration platform. It connects with smart water, electricity systems. You could use the responsive digital ops room. We've also got other accelerators around smart city. We've got IoT accelerators. One called Project Air has got a complete IoT device management. And we'll connect with anything, right? So we connect with anything. Unify is all about getting a single, accurate 360 view of your assets. It could be a substation or transformer. It could be a customer. And then you've got your virtual data layer to bring together all of your data sets, including your real-time data. And with that, you can predict confidently. Get your better analytics and data science, whether it's on water and energy usage or incidents. It's for better planning, like Vestas was doing. And our strengths here really are in integrating the data science and power behind the button, things like predictive maintenance, sentiment analysis, and then that real-time streaming data, which we handle very well, plus geospatial mapping. Think of that curvature of the Earth. So lots of success stories just in Australia: Sydney Water, Contact, Essential, Arrow, and internationally there's just so many, I can't even mention them. So hopefully I didn't spend too long going through that. Hopefully that was of interest. I do suggest if anyone wants to learn more, please reach out to me, jump onto the Tibco website. It's amazing the amount of stuff this company can do. I've only been here for about a year and a half now, and I'm consistently astounded by what they do. Everything from decreasing heart attacks in the Chicago University to facilitating real-time betting in the Hong Kong racetracks. But utilities, we do a lot of work, and I think we can help most of the people on the call. That's it for me, Michael. I'll pass it back to you.
Yeah, that was terrific, Tim. And listen, you took a very complex subject and you made it very, very clear and understandable, and particularly as it relates to utilities. So thank you very much for that. You can see there's another poll question up there. Take a moment. We'll keep it up there for about 30 seconds. And in the meantime, if you have questions, please submit them now as we're tabulating the poll and as you're voting. I've got the first question. I have some interesting ones, Tim. Here's one, it reads, with some existing processes and legacy technologies not optimized for extreme data, what measures can we implement to solve this challenge fast?
Good one. So look, that's not uncommon from the utilities where there's a lot of legacy stuff, and there's stuff coming in, UPC formats of, there's time value pairs. There's a few things that can be done. First of all is we can very quickly stand up cloud technologies to run in parallel, right? And you still want that anyway before you switched over. And then the other thing we can start to do, we've seen this in airports, for example, is run our pilots, test out the capabilities, and then start to move across over time, right? So quickly stand up a pilot, test it, run it in parallel for a while, and move across to that. But remember, Tibco integrates with more than anyone else. So if you've got we've got banks who are using mainframe systems, right? Ones that are older than me, and I know I don't look it, but I'm old enough for that one to be quite extreme. So we can still handle that old stuff as well as the new stuff. And I think that's one of our big strengths. There are competitors who are cloud only and only do the new stuff. We've been doing this for 30 years. We connect with more stuff than anyone else. Just the streaming data has got 350 sources, so it's pretty much guaranteed we can connect to existing systems, stand something up quickly as a pilot, test it, run it, and then over time you can start to move across. And that's how we deal with people who have old messaging systems and want to move to Kafka. Well, we can do that.
Okay, that's good. Before we get to our next question, and we got some good ones coming in, let's take a look at the results. Anything there, Tim, that stands out to you?
Yeah, look, I guess there's two things there that stand out. The need or the lack of need for an integration platform is interesting. And obviously, it's something that a lot of firms already have in place, although a lot of them still may have platforms that are older and may not connect with everything. So that surprises me a little bit that that's zero. What doesn't surprise me is the visual and streaming analytics tool at 42%. I'm just a bit curious about the size of the data science, but I think a lot of people recognize that if you don't get your data into good shape, data virtualization and governance, and be able to analyze it, then there's no point in having the data science. You can't run before you walk. But I'd actually like a copy of that poll because I think that's really interesting. I'd like to take that up to my team.
Yeah, we'll make sure you get it, of course.
What do you think of that, Michael? Does that surprise you? No, I think that was interesting.
Yeah, the zero surprised me actually. The answer to the integration platform, because I hear that a lot, that we need to integrate, we need to do a better job. I would expect to see 20%, but could be this particular audience.
Could be the audience, yeah. We get a lot of people going, oh, we're interested in Kafka or stuff like that, which is why I popped that in.
Well, on the other hand, it's been talked about so much for so long. Maybe everyone's taken the initial steps on that. You know?
Yeah, I think it's something that a lot of utilities have been investing in for the past 10 years. I mean, most of the ones we deal with are well on their way with integration platforms. In fact, most of them talk to us about the analytics and the data science. And the virtualization. That's the other one that's getting a lot of traction. Yeah, which kind of map to the results.
So here's a question. I think this is a really good one for you. Do you need to take all the capabilities you've shown as a package, or can you pick and choose, do it a la carte, so to speak?
Great question. I'm going to jump back to this slide because I think it helps explain it. You don't. Tibco is designed to obviously work better together. It's kind of hence the thank you at the end, but they're independent. So we get a lot of customers who use less powerful analytics tools like Microsoft Power BI. And, you know, we're actually a big Microsoft and AWS partner. So they may use, you know, the free Microsoft API management tool. It's not as powerful as ours, but some people use it. You could use that and still leverage us for messaging because you want to leverage Kafka and you need a enterprise level support for Kafka, which is what we do for the ASX as an example. Or, you know, like Sydney Water, they use our process automation, API management, and integration, but they don't yet use us for metadata management. So they're definitely modular. They're designed to work well together, but yes, the various parts can be brought in as needed, for sure. Good
That's
question.
Great. Yeah, we have just a few seconds left, and you may have already responded in your initial response to this question, but how does Tibco help integrate with existing systems that are already in place, i.e. Maximo or asset management?
Yeah, I think we covered that a fair bit. I mean, Maximo is a great example because I've come across it in technology companies, I've come across it in utilities, you know, as an asset management tool. And obviously anything that's got an API we can connect to, and anything that doesn't have an API we can connect to. It's our business. It's what we've been doing for 30 years. So, you know, I would challenge anyone to find solutions that have more capabilities to connect with existing systems and bring it all together. That's what we do. I mean, we do solve the world's most challenging data and integration problems. So I think I'd say bring that one on. But yeah, it will integrate with whatever you bring to the table.
That's great. Well, Tym Lawrence, thank you very much. As I said, I mean, this is complex stuff, which is often very difficult to explain. And I've sat with some really smart people, and they struggled to explain it clearly. And you just did it concisely, and I think our audience is very appreciative of that. So thank you. So
well, thanks, Michael. Thank you for having me.
Our pleasure. So I just want to say, on behalf of myself and Enlit Australia, thank you, Tym, and Tibco. And thanks to your insights and more importantly, the solutions that you showed the industry. I think those are very important. And I'd like to remind you that a recording of today's webinar, and as well as all our other digital information, is available on demand at the Enlit Australia website. Again, that's enlit-australia.com. We look forward to you joining us, Tym. I hope you're there, and everyone else, at our live event, the first live event in almost 2 years for Enlit Australia, and I think for most events. And that's on July 21st and 22nd in Melbourne. And we're really excited. Go to our website. We have a great speaker lineup already in place. We're very excited. People are really eager to be back together at a live conference. Great sponsors lined up, including GE.
Yeah, I think we're part of that.
Yeah,
really hoping to see everyone down there. It'd be good.
Well, we're really. I mean, you know, we couldn't be happier with the response so far, despite all the difficulties of 2020. So, you'll see on your screen right now. If you need any additional information about Enlit Australia, you see the team on your slide. Feel free to contact any of us. Again, thanks Tibco, thanks Tym Lawrence, and thank you all for joining. Have a good evening.
Thank you, Michael.